What is a military coup? Any chances of it ever happening in India? And Chetan says, good day. Can you please help us understand what leads to a military coup in a nation and why governments aren't able to prevent it? Can this ever happen in stable democracies like India, US, Canada, etc.? Are these engineered by foreign interests? Interesting question. What's a coup? I don't think I've ever taken a question like this in detail. So a coup can happen in certain countries. There are certain conditions, preconditions that need to be met for a coup to happen. There are essentially three preconditions that need to be met for a coup to be successful in a country. First of all, the social and economic conditions of the target country must be such that the political participation is confined to a very small fraction of the population, which means that the majority of the people are not are disempowered. They are not politically active. At most, maybe they can vote once in a while, but the actual political participation, as in governance, etc., is confined to a very small fraction of the population. There is a very small elite that controls all the power. If you have such a situation, then a country is ripe for a coup. That's only one of the preconditions. Number two, your target country must be substantially independent, and the influence of foreign powers, foreign actors inside its internal political life must be relatively limited. So there is a second precondition of a coup being likely to succeed. And thirdly, your target country where you want to do a coup, it must have a political center, which means the power must be centralized. If there are multiple centers of power, these must be structured politically, not ethnically or linguistically, right? So these are three preconditions for a coup, for an internal coup, which means from for internal actors to carry out a coup successfully. So the social and political the economic conditions must be such that the people are marginalized, and there's a very small fraction of the population that has all the power, all the benefits. Does India meet this particular criterion? No. India is not that sort of a country where you have this huge disparity in power. People are not that marginalized. The economy is getting better. If the economy is good, if it is improving, then people are usually not discontented, and there is a reasonable amount of political partition among the people of India, right? So an internal coup will not succeed given this first precondition. Secondly, the target state must be substantially independent, and the influence of foreign powers, foreign actors must be inside internal politics, must be relatively limited. Well, does India meet this precondition? India is reasonably substantially independent, but there I would say there is a great amount of foreign interference in internal affairs of India, whether you realize it or not. Even in Indian politics, there are allegations that certain Indian political parties are funded from abroad. Certain, yeah, essentially that, right? There are these NGOs also in India that acquire lots of funds from abroad for various political and other activities. So there is a problem for India. Thirdly, the target state must have a political center. It must be centrally run, and if there are multiple centers of power, these must be identified. These must be structured politically, not ethnically or linguistically. In India, we have a central government, but we have very strong state governments as well. We have this federal structure, and these multiple political centers are structured ethnically and linguistically, not politically. And therefore, it's impossible for a coup to succeed in India. Impossible. An internal coup to succeed in India. But now we come to precondition. Let's revisit precondition two, that the country must be substantially free of foreign interference, substantially independent, and there must be very little foreign interference in its internal affairs. In the case of India, that is not true. There is foreign political interference in India's internal affairs. I mean, you see certain things happening in coordination in India, coordinated events happening across India, in various parts of India at the same time. It could be the sign of foreign interference in Indian internal affairs. It's just speculation, but there are no coincidences in the world. So, uh, so overall, if you look at all three preconditions, then India is not a country where a coup can happen. because mainly of the third precondition, that there is no actual political center in India. There is a central government, but its powers are limited. State governments have substantial powers, and state governments, these political centers in the states, are structured linguistically and ethnically. I mean, if you look at the various states as different ethnicities, which is not quite true, but even if you do it that way, then we certainly have linguistic divisions, right? So every state has a certain state language. So these political divisions, are structured linguistically, and therefore we have this. So therefore, this third precondition certainly cannot be satisfied, and that is one of the major reasons. This third precondition, that's one of the major reasons why India is never going to be a country where a coup can succeed. I mean, there hypothetically, possibly hypothetically, there could be attempts, but it can never succeed in a country like India, because it's such a diverse country with so many different centers of power, which are structured linguistically, not politically. Hmm? So that's the thing. But there is certainly a significant amount of political interference, of foreign interference in India's internal affairs, in a variety of ways. There are certain things that the Indian government is unable to do right now. It is because of foreign political interference. Let's just give an example that we spoke about just a few minutes ago. The Americans keep on expressing concern about human rights in India, right? Isn't that foreign interference in Indian internal affairs? Who the hell are they to talk about human rights in India when their own situation is so bad, right? I mean, the first principle of the rules based global order is non interference in other countries' sovereign matters. But the US consistently and continuously disregards this. And we know that they constantly interfere in the internal affairs of other countries. We know what they did in Ukraine in 2014. They carried out a political coup. In Ukraine, those three preconditions were more or less valid, they were more or less met. And the coup was carried out with external help, not internal help. So yeah, so that's how it is. So that's how a coup essentially happens. It's a fascinating topic. There is a book here. Where is it? You see this red book here? That is the handbook on how to carry out a coup. So so if you want to carry out a coup in a country, in some hypothetical country, then read this book. It's a manual on how to do it. It's by Dr. Edward Luttwak, who has appeared on my podcast in the past. Right. So that's what I can say in brief about this.